$1,690 a month. That single line decides whether you get approved for disability in 2026, and cross it, and Social Security can deny your SSDI claim before a doctor ever opens your file. But here's what nobody tells you at the front. There's a 5-step test the government runs on every single claim, and step 3 can approve you in a matter of weeks, or leave you fighting for 2 years.
I'm Erica, and the first gate has nothing to do with how sick you are. SSDI is an earned benefit. You paid into it out of every paycheck you ever got. So you qualify first by work credits. Most adults need 40 of them, with 20 earned in the last 10 years.
River here. Gate 2 is that opening number, $1,690 a month. Earn past it, and they call it substantial gainful activity. If you're legally blind, the line sits higher, $2,830.
Hey everyone, Leo here. And Gate 2 is exactly where I watch people torpedo their own case. They keep grinding a full job at $1,500 a month, figuring some work looks better than none. But to the computer at Social Security, steady earnings above that line read as one thing: you can work. Claim closed, before anyone reads a word of your medical record.
And Gate 3 is the medical piece, but with a clock bolted onto it. Your condition has to be severe enough to stop that substantial work, and it has to last at least 12 months or be expected to end your life. A broken leg that heals by spring won't qualify. A degenerative disease will.
The chat keeps pushing one question to the top, and honestly, it's the right place to start. If I worked my whole life, why would Social Security ever deny my disability claim? Because working is the entire test. The system isn't asking whether you were a good worker. It's asking whether you can still do substantial work right now. That flip is where most people get blindsided.
So credits, income, and a lasting condition. Clear all 3, and you're standing at step 1 of that 5-step test, where cases are really won or lost. Wait until you see what the money looks like once you're through it.
Fenrir promised you a 5-step test at the top, so here it is, in the exact order Social Security uses it. And the order is everything, because the moment you fail one gate, the whole thing stops cold.
5 gates, one direction, no skipping ahead.
Here's all 5, in order. Step 1 just re-asks the money question. Step 2, is your condition severe? Step 3 is the golden ticket. Match a listing in what everyone calls the Blue Book, the government's catalog of qualifying conditions, and you're approved right there, no further questions.
Steps 4 and 5 are where it gets murky, and where most claims quietly die. This part deserves someone who reads these decisions for a living, so I called in Marisol Reyes, who knows the SSDI decision process cold. Marisol, take 4 and 5.
Happy to. Step 4 asks one narrow question. Can you still do the work you actually did over the last several years? Not a job you'd love, not a lighter version someone imagines for you. Your real past work. If they decide you can, your case ends right there. And if you can't, you reach step 5, the big one. Now they ask whether there's any other work in the whole economy you could adjust to, given your age and what your body can still handle. This is where most cases fall apart.
Wait, so a wrecked back loses because a desk job exists somewhere?
Almost, and here's the part that saves people. Your age changes the math. The older you are, the harder the government itself admits it is to retrain into brand new work. So the same back injury that loses at 30 can win at 55. That's the whole machine in 5 gates. One parting thought, then I'll let you get back to it. The file you hand them decides every step of this. Thanks for having me on.
And that isn't a hunch. It's a written chart they call the Medical Vocational Grid. It cross-references your age, education, and job skills, and for older workers it can point straight to an approval almost automatically. Thank you, Marisol.
One thing before the next part, and then we move right on. If any of this is clicking, tap that like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for the next one. It takes a second, it costs nothing, and it helps more than you would think.
Now the money, the part everyone actually came for. And the first thing to unlearn is that SSDI pays some flat disability rate. It doesn't.
Your check is built from your own lifetime earnings, the same formula behind a retirement check. In 2026, the average disability payment runs about $1,630 a month, and the ceiling for lifelong high earners is just over $4,150. In my house, that average is the grocery run plus one spoiled greyhound's vet bill. For millions of people, it's the whole cushion between okay and underwater.
Over 4,000? Who actually clears that?
Almost nobody. It takes decades of near-maxed earnings to touch the ceiling. Treat the average as your honest anchor, not the headline number.
But before a single dollar shows up, there's a wall, a 5-month waiting period. Your claim can be approved and dated, and you still see nothing for the first 5 months. It's written into the law, and it blindsides everyone.
Now here's where it swings hard back in your favor. And I'd bet my whole paycheck this is the part you don't see coming. Watch what that wait turns into. Because your claim is dated back to when your disability actually began, not when a clerk finally signed off. So start with your monthly benefit, $1,630.
The first 5 months still pay nothing. That's the waiting period, subtracted right off the front. No way around it.
But say it took 14 months to get approved. That leaves 9 payable months stacked up and owed to you. 9 times $1,630. $14,670 back pay in one deposit.
One more thing that clock buys you. Stay on SSDI 24 months and Medicare switches on. Health coverage automatically.
And you might not be the only one drawing a check. A spouse caring for your young child or your kids under 18 can pull a dependent benefit on your record up to a family maximum. So the household number can climb well past your own.
So the money is real, it's yours, and it reaches back in time. Which sets up the obvious question. If all of that is sitting there waiting, why do most people get told no the very first time? About 62%, that's how many first-time disability claims got denied last year. Not because those people weren't genuinely sick, because of how they applied. Where you apply is the easy part. How you apply is the whole game.
So let's fix that, starting at the front door. You've got 3 ways in, and the fastest is online at ssa.gov. You start the disability application right from your couch, save your progress, and come back to it whenever you have the energy.
Or call the 800 number. Or walk into a local Social Security office and do it with a person across the desk. Same claim, 3 doors.
And whichever door you pick, it's the same agency behind all of them, and it wants the same things from you. So before you start, have your doctors, the dates you were treated, your full medication list, and your work history for the last 15 years all in one place.
Now the real reason 2 out of 3 files bounce. It's almost never some dramatic technicality. It's thin medical proof. Think of your case like a trial. You can testify all day that you're in pain, but if you haven't seen a doctor in a year, there's no evidence on the stand to back you up. No records, no proof, no approval.
Hold on. If records matter that much, what counts as strong proof?
Fair cut, objective evidence, that's what counts. Test results, imaging, a doctor's written notes on what you can and can't physically do, a consistent treatment history. Anything a stranger reviewing your file can verify without simply taking your word for it. That's exactly what flips a denial into an approval.
So a complete file is the whole game. But say you did everything right, and that denial letter still lands in your mailbox. That is not the end of your claim. It might be the moment it actually starts to win.
That denial letter feels like a door slamming shut. It isn't. For most cases that eventually get approved, it's step 1. And the single biggest mistake people make right here is reading the word no and simply giving up.
But there's a clock, and it's brutal. 60 days from the date on that letter, miss it, and you're not appealing anymore. You're starting the entire claim over from 0.
Here's the ladder you climb, and it goes in order. Rung 1 is reconsideration. A new examiner at the same agency looks at your file with fresh eyes. And honestly, the odds here are grim. Only about 16% get approved at this stage.
But rung 2 is where this is really going, and it's worth every month of the wait. You get a hearing in front of an administrative law judge. A real human who can look at you, hear your story, and question your doctor. Approvals at the hearing level jump to around 51%. It roughly triples.
The same file that got denied twice wins half the time at the hearing?
The same file, plus one thing. A person in the room. A judge can weigh how your condition actually limits your day, which a checklist never captures.
And if that judge still says no, there are 2 more rungs above. The appeals council reviews it, and after that you can take it into federal court.
And notice the pattern up that entire ladder. The people who win are almost never the ones with the worst conditions on paper. They're the ones who kept climbing and who showed up to that hearing with a complete documented file. I spend 3 nights a week at a boxing gym, and it's the same lesson there. The winner isn't the biggest hitter. It's the one still standing in the later rounds, so you can climb this ladder completely alone. Or you can bring help. And whether that help is worth a slice of your back pay is the argument we're about to have. One question splits every comment section on this topic. Do I need a lawyer to get disability, or is that just money out of my own back pay? Erica says get a representative. Leo says most people can and should start this alone. Let's have it.
Here's my case. The application is free, and it's built for regular people to fill out. If your condition clearly matches a Blue Book listing, you can win this yourself and keep every dollar. Handing a quarter of your back pay to someone for a form you could have filled out is a bad trade.
Both things are true, Leo. For a clean listing level case, you're right. But look at where cases actually get won. The hearing. Reconsideration approves about 16%. A good representative knows how to build the file a judge needs, question the vocational expert, and frame your limits in the grid's own language. That isn't paperwork, that's craft.
Before we crown either side, Leo hit that head on. Her strongest point is the hearing. Can a regular person really handle a judge and a vocational expert alone?
Fairly, for a lot of people, no. I'll give her the hearing outright. If you're headed to a judge, get help. I was overselling the do-it-yourself line, and that's the spot it breaks.
And that's exactly what makes it an easy call.
Go on then, sell me. What makes it easy?
The fee isn't out of pocket, and it's capped by law. A representative takes 25% of your back pay and no more than $9,200, whichever is smaller. If you lose, they get nothing. You're not writing a check. You're sharing a slice of money you only get because you won.
Leo, answer that directly. If it's capped and only paid on a win, what's the actual downside of bringing help?
The downside is a simple case you'd have won anyway, where you just handed over $9,000 you never needed to spend. That's real money. So here's my honest line. Obvious listing level claim, try it yourself first. Anything headed to a hearing, get a rep.
Before the verdict, there's a bigger fork sitting underneath all of this, and people miss it.
Right, because SSDI isn't the only door. No work credits? SSI is the needs-based path. Same medical test, different money based on need instead of your record. And if your employer gave you long-term disability insurance, that often pays faster and can even stack on top. They aren't competitors, they're a toolkit.
So here's my verdict, and here's what I'd actually do, all on the record at ssa.gov. File the moment you truly can't work. Handle a clean listing level case yourself if you're able and want to keep the full amount. But the instant you're denied and heading to a judge, get a representative because it's capped, contingent, and it roughly triples your odds. And if you're short on credits, ask about SSI in the same breath. That's the smart play. So the whole thing comes down to this. SSDI is insurance you already bought. It runs on a 5-step test, and a first denial is a starting line, not a finish.
And here's what today buys you, personally. Build your file before you apply, not after you're denied, and you walk in with the one thing a reviewer can't wave away. Every doctor visit you can point to is a brick in your wall. That's the move, and you can start it tonight.
Next time, we open a door most people never find. The compassionate allowances list, where certain conditions get approved in days, not years.
And my takeaway is the back pay. That 5-month wall you dreaded turns into a lump sum dated back to day 1. The system remembers.
If this cleared up even one piece of a process that's built to feel impossible, do us one favor. Give it a like and subscribe, because every video like this makes the next confusing benefit a little less scary. Now the one only you can answer. If you or someone you love has been through this, what's the single thing you wish you had known before you hit submit? Tell us down in the comments. Do not just know the answer. Know why every other answer is wrong.
9. Fenrir. You had the pacing I usually strive for. I am taking notes for my next one. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.